Hi everybody, my name is Ercy and welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be giving you a 5-book wrap-up. So it's been a little while since I read some of these, but I still wanted to share my thoughts on them just because I've been itching to just kind of talk about them, and I think they're pretty interesting, well, the books that I decided to talk about. So I'm going to be talking about 4 adult books and my children's book category. It's 2 books in it, but they're sort of like the same but different, and you'll see when I get there. So let's just hop into it. The first book I want to talk about is My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithewaite. This book, I listened to the audiobook version of it, and I borrowed it from my library through Overdrive. I love this book so much. This book was so good. It was about 2 sisters, and they're from Nigeria, and one of them is a nurse. Her name is Corday. Her little sister is named Ayola. It's about their relationship and how it progresses through this time where her sister Ayola is literally killing her boyfriends. Because she's a nurse, Corday feels compelled to kind of help her and help her clean up the mess because she wants to protect her sister. She feels conflicted at this point, and she wants to protect this new guy because this new guy happens to be this doctor that she really respects and works with. So he starts getting a crush on the sister, wanting to date her, but Corday knows what's going to be happening because her sister is always killing her boyfriends. And I feel, even though it sounds really silly, like, her sister's a serial killer. I mean, it's in the title. There's no secret about it. But I thought the writing was beautiful. I thought that the way that the relationships were examined was really well thought out and it was developed really well. But it's not only just the relationship with the sister that I really loved. You kind of get a lot of backstory with like their father, Nigerian culture, and things that happen, and even things that happen within the hospital. You get a really good look at everything that's happening in their town. And I thought it was just such a good book. Like, it was so good. And it's really short too. I think the audiobook was only like 4 hours long. I soaked it up. Like, I must have listened to it in like 2 or 3 days or something like that. Normal speed. I didn't want to speed it up. I just wanted to kind of soak it in and enjoy it. And it was really good. Like, I love this story. I believe I gave it a 5-star rating on Goodreads, but I didn't write anything about it. I kind of want to give an example of how this sister is portrayed, because obviously she's a serial killer, but she's also like a young girl. She's, well, you know, a young woman, and she just doesn't care about the damage that she's doing. And I feel like all of the emotions and everything that's being felt is through Corday, the older sister. And so, just an example, at one point she kills one of her boyfriends, and he's missing, or he's technically categorized as missing, right? People think he's missing. The sister starts dating another guy, and he gives her flowers. And this is like a month after this guy has been killed. He gives her flowers, and she's getting ready to like post a picture of it to like Snapchat or something. And Corday is like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you doing that?" And she's like, "I don't understand, like, why I can't just post these pictures." And she's like, "You have to pretend that you're grieving. Like, what are you doing?" And she's just like, "Oh, I'm so over this. When can I get over this already? I don't understand. Like, I'm in a new relationship. Who cares?" Because obviously she doesn't care about the damage that she's doing. So I just thought that was really like a good way of showing in like our modern times about how sociopathic her sister is, and everything that Corday has been feeling, and her frustrations with her sister, but her willingness to help her because she's family. And I just thought it was such a great book. Like, it was so good. All right, 5 out of 5. I loved it. Let's go on to the next one. And this book is called The Mutations by Jorge Comensal, and it's translated from Spanish to English. And I read this. I borrowed it from my library, so I don't have it with me, so I'll just put up a picture of the cover. This book, again, another short and sweet book, but this was really dense. But again, another 5 out of 5. And it's about a man who is a lawyer. His name is Ramon, and he winds up getting cancer in his tongue, and he like starts growing a tumor, and they have to remove his tongue. And you kind of see the relationships, how the people around him are affected by the cancer that he has. His daughter, his son, his wife, the housemaid, his therapist, the doctors that are treating the cancer. Like, you see everything from their perspectives at some point throughout this short book, and I thought it was so well thought out, and each chapter like made me stop and think and want to reread paragraphs, because it was just so dense but so good. Like, I ate it up. Like, I love this story. It was funny at many points and also very tragic at other points, and I really loved how Comensal was able to do that, taking such a dark topic like cancer and making the circumstances around it kind of humorous, because I feel like that's something that people need in like those circumstances, but also making you take a really hard look at like the origins and like how it affects you, and it's not only just talking about the mutations of the cancer itself, but how the people around you also kind of mutate to sort of adjust to a new way of living. And I love that there was this one part with the bird that he gets as a gift from his maid, and he sort of sees himself through this bird as well. Like, this bird winds up being really mangy. Like, you can tell it was bent out of shape, and he sort of identifies himself with this bird, and it's such a good, another one that's just really, really good. Like, I love this, and I really suggest people should really read it. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. I haven't heard anybody talk about it, really. Like, I was walking in my library before all the quarantine happened, and I kind of saw it. The cover it was so striking that I had to pick it up because I thought it was so beautiful. And I read the synopsis, and I was like, this sounds weird, but I'm down for it. Like, I'm gonna read it. And I was really, really taken aback at how beautiful and gorgeous the writing was, and how the story just made me feel something on a topic that I would not normally pick up. But yeah, that was such a really good one. I loved it. And another one that was 5 out of 5. And let's go on to the next one. Now, this one I didn't really like too much. I felt like it was too slow, like, I'm just waiting for something to happen, and when it happened, I was just like, okay. And that's The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. And I heard that a lot of people or like what I've seen online is more people, either they really loved it or they just kind of feel how I feel, kind of ambivalent, kind of like whatever about it. And that's sort of where I feel. I was just waiting for things to happen. It was so slow. And anyways, so this book, it's about this girl who winds up working for this family, and she winds up taking a job as a nanny, and the kids are horrible, and they live in this house that's really hard to live in because it's super improvised. Like, there's a ton of technology implemented into the home, and she can't get a grip on it. And I felt like they really made that a big deal in the synopsis, and I felt like throughout the book, like, it was a little inconvenient, but I didn't feel like it had that much of an impact on the story itself, like, as compared to how it was made to feel or made to seem in the synopsis. Anyways, so that book, it was just like, I was reading it, and I was just like, okay, this happened, next, waiting for something to happen, and it takes forever to get there. And then it happens, and you're just like, all right, interesting. It's a little weird, a little creepy, but I don't know. I left this book, even like the twist, like, I left this book just feeling like, whatever. Like, I read it. It's not that big a deal. And some people are just like, oh my God, over the moon about this book. And that's why I was really excited to read it. And I read it, and I'm just like, this is like, whatever. Like, whatever. I don't care. But I mean, it was all right. Maybe it just wasn't my kind of book. But again, too slow paced, too, like, it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't as thrilling as I thought it was going to be. Maybe that's other people's kind of cup of tea, where it's really, really slow build. But here's the thing, like, I like slow build stuff. I like feeling that anxiousness towards something, but this was more of like like hurry up and get it over with kind of thing, you know? I don't know. I didn't like it, but I borrowed it from the library, so I read the physical copy of it. I didn't listen to it. A lot of people do seem to like it. I'm not in that camp. But the next book I did love, and that was The Asylum Patient by Alex Michaelides. And this one, I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was so good. The twist threw me over. Like, I was like, this is what I'm talking about. So this book, it's about this man. He's a psychotherapist. He really wants to help this one patient at this, like, asylum, who she just does not want to talk to anybody. She's been convicted of the murder of her husband, and she won't explain why. She won't talk, and all that's left behind, or all that she left behind, was like this painting of herself that people are really like obsessed with because of this murder that she committed. And he has it in him to try to fix her, but a lot of what we see in this book is him trying to fix himself and examine himself, and he's taking a really hard look at himself while trying to help her and try to figure out or try to understand what's wrong with her. And I thought this book was phenomenal. I was hooked. I loved this investigative process that he was taking. I loved that he was able to try to connect the pieces within her life, and how it kind of also reflected things that were happening with him. And you have these two sides to the narrative, because you also had some chapters where it was her speaking, or her thoughts, and she is like reminiscing on some of the things that she went through, and some of the ways that her relationship with her husband developed, and the way that her relationship with her, I believe her brother-in-law, developed as well. Like, this real hard examination of like the relationships between these people and the interconnectedness of it all. And I thought it was just really good. Like, I thought this was brilliant. 5 out of 5. I loved it. I listened to this one on audio as well. I borrowed it from my library through Overdrive, so I loved it. I happened to see a lot of like people that loved The Turn of the Key do not like The Silent Patient, and people that love The Silent Patient do not like The Turn of the Key. Is this just something with the books? Are they like against each other or something? I don't know, but I feel like the flavors of them both, and they kind of reached popularity around the same time on BookTube, and it's just something that I noticed. Like, if you liked Turn of the Key, you weren't a fan of this one, but I didn't come into it thinking that. There was a lot of hype around these two books, and I just wanted to read them, and it just so happened that I liked one and did not like the other, so there's that. Lastly, I want to talk about these two books. I know I said 5-book wrap-up, but again, these will just count as one, even though they're two different books. Anyways, so I want to talk about Goodnight Moon by Margaret Wise Brown, and the pictures by Clement Hurd. In comparison to Goodnight Goon by Michael Rex. So obviously this one is sort of like inspired by this one, and this is the classic that everyone seems to be gifting their babies and their toddlers and stuff, and for good reason. I love this book. My daughter loves this book. It's just very mellow and very calming. And again, I tend to read this to her right before she goes to bed, because then she starts saying goodnight to everything. And what's really good is, like, even though this is such a classic, it's just like he's being sweet to everything that's around him, and it's sort of like you're appreciating everything that you have. And that's why I love it, because she starts to say goodnight to everything around her. after reading through this book. And what I love is that as they're naming the objects to say goodnight to, I can kind of point to them in the picture, or she'll try to find them, or she'll point to them as I'm reading it. And she loves this one. She loves this. And it's a classic for a reason. It's the reason why everyone gets this book for their kids. And it's such a cute little thing. So that's why I was like, I saw this one, I think it was like at Target or something. And I was like, oh, well, that's fun. It's just, you know, it's the same thing, only it's a petrifying parody, as it says. And she doesn't like this one. She doesn't like it. I think it's just because it's too dark. Even the pictures, they're really, you know, I mean, it's supposed to be kind of Halloween themed. But even just like the pictures itself, I think they're too, for her age range, I think they're just too detailed and too kind of out there, that she just does not like this one. I try to read it to her and she'll let me go through it, but she'll start trying to like change the pages before I can like finish reading it, because she's just wanting to get to the end to kind of read another book. Because every time that I read to her, we'll pull out like 3 or 4 books, and she's just never excited about this one, even though I'm excited to read it because I think it's funny and it's cute and a little more interesting. She's not into it. So I think it's probably because she loves this one so much that this one is just not what she's feeling, you know what I mean? And I really just think because it's just kind of too dark, you know, like some of these pictures, like there's a lot of like the colors itself, you know, is a lot of greens and the dark, the blacks and the, you know, like these very dark colors. And again, it's supposed to be Halloween themed, but she just does not like this. So maybe when she's older, she'll like it and she'll appreciate what it is. But at this stage in her life, she's 2.5. She's not into it. She loves this one. This is a lot brighter, a lot more, I pull out a dark page, but you know, it's just like, it's very mellow, and it's not trying to excite her or anything. It's just kind of mellow, bringing her down and getting her ready for bed. And that's why I love this one. I have mixed feelings about this one. So there's that. With that, I'm gonna end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video where I give my thoughts on some of these books, some books that I read and listen to, and maybe you guys will pick it up. Share what you think about them in the comments. If you've read any of these, if you think my opinions are different from yours, let me know why. Like I want to start a conversation. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you consider subscribing to my channel and follow me along on Goodreads. I'll always have that link down below as well. Wash your hands, be a good citizen, stay home if you can. I know there's a lot of restrictions being lifted right now, but there's still a lot of cases out there. So I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves, and I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.